You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. And today, Joplin becomes the latest class to shut its doors temporarily due to COVID-19.
After an abnormally warm January week, it's time to open up the snow tracker. We'll look at our accumulations by the time we finish off the weekend from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, if you're still waiting for your Christmas package or Halloween lights to arrive, we may have the reason. The LAPD just found thousands of packages near the train tracks in downtown Los Angeles. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. A Nevada, Missouri business owner admits failing to pay taxes on nearly $1.5 million of income. 53-year-old Kevin Morrow pleads guilty to filing a false tax return. Morrow omitted nearly $1.5 million in income from the federal income tax returns he filed from 2014 through 2016. During that time, Morrow operated Morrow Show Steers, a cattle sale business. Under federal statutes, Morrow could get up to 3 years in federal prison without parole. Police in Pittsburgh and the Crawford County Sheriff's Office worked together to arrest a Pittsburgh man who led officers on a chase. Authorities say officers spotted 27-year-old Sage Sprague in a car on East 21st Street and knew he had multiple outstanding warrants. When officers tried to pull the car over, the car sped away. The chase went through Pittsburgh, then left the city, which is when a sheriff's deputy joined in, then went back to Pittsburgh before Sprague's car hit the deputy's vehicle. The chase stopped a short time later and authorities arrested Sprague. The Joplin School District becomes the latest to cancel classes for today. The district sent out messages to parents yesterday letting them know classes are canceled for today so crews can deep clean the buildings. Officials say classes will be made up on May 25th. As schools across the area continue to shut down due to staffing shortages, some remain open. The Carl Junction School District is among the few still holding in-person classes. Superintendent Dr. Phil Cook says the district looks at a number of factors in determining whether to close. Right now, Cook says the district has enough staff and attendance numbers still look good.
I hope that they have some trust in us and that we have a track record of making decisions based upon, like I said, common sense, what's good for our kids and what's good for our community's safety.
Carl Junction is holding classes today. Other districts that have canceled say they plan to return to class on Tuesday, following the upcoming holiday on Monday. People in Joplin had a chance to responsibly enjoy a beer and adopt a pet for free. The Chaos Brewing Company on South Main Street called the event Bark Brew. Chaos invited some pets from the Joplin Humane Society, covered the $10 adoption fee, and also offered a free beer.
An opportunity to interact with the animals in a way that they otherwise wouldn't. They can come here, they might feel more comfortable coming to a bar to meet someone. That's something people do apparently, versus having to make an appointment or take the time out of your day to go out to the Humane Society. So instead of having to make that trip, you can just come here on your way home and maybe meet someone who you're going to fall in love with.
The Joplin Humane Society always reminds people to think before they adopt and make sure they have the resources for taking care of a pet long term. This Hawaiian man is now 102 years old, and he spent his birthday at a gym Thursday. Dr. James Cho works out 6 days a week at 24-Hour Fitness near Honolulu. It's become a tradition for him to come here on his birthday. He says his fitness routine is why he's lived so long.
Right there, you know what that is.
Yeah.
Don't skip leg day.
I mean, I don't even go to the gym that much. Good for him.
102?
Right? So maybe, I guess that's the secret.
Look at that.
I bet he can do more than I can.
I think I may just pull some of my back watching him do
Just
that.
looking at him is like, I'm like sweating. Honestly, good for him.
Like I said, Bronte, that's why he doesn't skip leg day.
Exactly. I need to follow in that man's footsteps.
102 years old. Look at this. Look at the poor dude next to him, who's like, I'm just trying to get in some cardio. And this gentleman's not only 102, he's got a camera crew obviously following him around the story.
Imagine being at the gym and having a camera crew there.
That's
I
great.
would hide.
That's tremendous. All right, Bronte, we're tracking this winter storm that has now made its way off the Canadian border and into the upper plains. Actually, we're seeing just a little snow even intrude upon north central Missouri. Now, it's got a little southeasterly push to it, not so much due north-south, but even so, with it lasting this far out to the west, we're certainly going to get our fair share of snow from this system as it continues to move. Look at this gorgeous shot. Little cloud cover presenting us with just a marvelous look outside of Television City. That is too cool right there. Regionally speaking, we're starting also too to see the north really cool down as that system progresses through. The color contour gives you an idea about that cold front just holding out for us. And our temperatures today not going to be too bad at all. Right now we're at 38 in Joplin, and even with that heavy cloud cover, the heavy cloud cover overnight keeps us well above that freezing mark. And this is going to be the big one because just follow the jet stream down here. After it comes through us, works its way really through Nashville to the point where they could see some of the deep south before it reverts back up to the northeastern and New England portions of the contiguous 48. Here's where we sit temperature-wise. Joplin at 38. Let's go Iola at 39. Hey, Monette bebopping back up to 41. We've had a couple of 40s that have been sporadic every now and then, and Miami sits at 34. Weather trend for this afternoon, even with the clouds, mid-50s. Can't beat that. More importantly, let's talk about what develops tonight because we've got a winter weather advisory for all of our counties. Shouldn't really be here until after sunset, and we see a quick flip over from the rain to the snow. So the freezing rain is not going to present too much of a problem, still be apprised of it. But then as we get past midnight, we're pretty much all snow. And then after sunrise on Saturday, more snow begins to drop down, especially for the eastern portion of our highlighted counties. And then it's going to refreeze from Saturday into Sunday because our temperatures drop back down into the teens. Now, partly sunny skies on Sunday, still chilly, however, in our MLK holiday, looking about like, close to 50 with mostly sunny skies as well. Coming up here in just a little bit, Bronte, let's talk about accumulation numbers and what we can expect by the time we close out Saturday.
All right, thanks, Michael. Up next, masks have become a part of our lives in the last 2 years, but not all masks work as well as others. We've got some advice coming up for which masks do a better job. And later, the lead singer of one legendary heavy metal band heads out on a solo tour. We'll tell you who it is when we come back. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Whether you're suffering from the
A new study shows unvaccinated pregnant women are more likely to experience severe COVID-19 symptoms and newborn deaths. Researchers in Scotland looked at about 5,000 pregnant women with COVID-19 infections over 11 months. Most participants were unvaccinated. Women who hadn't gotten their shots were about 4 times more likely to end up in the hospital with COVID-19. They were more than twice as likely to experience stillbirths or infant fatalities within 28 days of birth. Health experts agree that masking is one of the keys to preventing the spread of the coronavirus, along with vaccines and social distancing. But which masks do a better job? Brian Todd has the answers.
Tonight, a new effort to stem confusion about mask wearing during the pandemic. The CDC expected to update its guidance on the best masks to wear soon. The CDC and local health officials have recently said that N95 and KN95 masks appear to give you the most protection against the surging Omicron variant.
We should be wearing the best possible mask that we can get. That's a fact.
Dr. Anthony Fauci and other top officials say N95s and KN95s work better than those standard 3-ply surgical masks many people have worn, and much better than cloth masks. How? One group of experts comparing leakage from masks found cloth masks can leak 75% in and out, surgical masks only 50%, and N95 masks as low as 1 to 10% if correctly fitted.
You do want to make sure that they fit properly, so you don't want air sort of escaping from the sides, underneath, or around the eyes, so you got to make sure it's really snug. But it's an effective mask. That's the thing.
One expert says N95s are very similar to KN95s because they both have high-efficiency filters, but the N95 has a slight edge over the KN95.
It provides a better fit to your face. If a mask doesn't fit your face well, it's going to leak.
Another key question, can you wear an N95 or a KN95 more than once? Yes, says one expert.
You can wear an N95. A rule of thumb is about up to 40 hours of use. The filter in an N95 respirator does not go bad for days to weeks.
Experts now say with Omicron, it's high time to upgrade from cloth.
Cloth masks are little more than facial decorations. There's no place for them in light of Omicron.
Some health experts believe there's been way too much confusion over mask wearing and the messaging on it throughout the pandemic.
We should not have any confusion over mask wearing. This is confusion that we ourselves, the frontline workers, the government, public health experts, doctors, nurses, and other influential people when it comes to infection prevention control have actually created because we haven't got on the same page on what works and what doesn't work and what works based on evidence.
Experts say to reuse an N95 mask as safely as possible, avoid touching the outer part of the mask when putting it on. Instead, they say to try to handle the mask by its edges or straps. Well, after 72 years, the FDA is deregulating a once popular salad dressing. As of Wednesday, French dressing is no longer required to have at least 35% vegetable oil. The FDA is revoking a standard set back in 1950 that critics claimed was limiting innovation in the food service industry. A group called the Association of Dressing and Sauces has been trying to change the rule since 1998. With the FDA's old standard of identity gone, French dressing can have less vegetable oil or even more tomato paste in its recipe. Also, some products labeled imitation French dressing can now officially drop the word imitation. Viva la différence. Was that how's my French there?
Everybody's got to have a cause in life, and I am so happy that those people at the dressing and salad order have
there you go.
Been fighting they've been fighting this good fight for almost 25 years, Bronte.
And now, paying off.
I did not know such organization even existed.
You know, there's a lot of organizations I didn't know existed. I did a story once, and I talked to the National Chicken Council. So there's a lot of different ones out there. Just gotta look for them.
I'm actually ex officio, but that's a story for another day.
All right.
Carrie behind the camera mentioning that this live look outside of Television City reminds her of Lion King. And what a gorgeous, Carrie, a great equivocation right there, because it is absolutely gorgeous right now. Able to do that with that cloud cover that worked in overnight. And from a gorgeous looking sunrise to all eyes up to the north where we're awaiting that winter storm system. In the meantime, already up to 42 at 7th and Rangeline and Joplin Regional Airport. It's been a very, very nice morning. Wind not too bad at all. We've got Monette already at 41, Miami at 34, Chanute at 38. This is really hard to beat, but you'll also notice the watches and warnings in some form or fashion. They last from the Canadian border all the way down to the coast. If you trace the winter weather advisories, that is that right there. It's exactly where that system is going to end up, and we've got some advisories of our own. Winter weather advisory indicated in purple, the white, kind of a combo effect, not only a winter weather advisory, but also a wind advisory for today as well, as we'll see that increase for the afternoon. As this thing slowly moves to the south-southeast, we've got the rest of the day that's going to be just fine. We won't see a whole lot of sunshine with that cloud cover, but still able to make it up into the mid-50s. So let's talk about the important stuff here, and that will be after sunset tonight when it starts as rain up to the north, quickly flips over to snow. And once that snow starts and stays with us all the way through late Saturday morning, even into the afternoon portions, when we talk about the eastern edge of southwest Missouri right there before it finally dies off there Saturday night. And look at that. It's still holding on to the Missouri-Arkansas state line there on Saturday night as well. Our accumulation numbers, how about that? We're good. We're good. That's what happens when a computer crashes on you live on air. I promise you, the 4 states did not just entirely go dark. When we talk about our accumulation numbers, off to the east is where we're going to see that in the elevated portions where you work into the Ozarks and down throughout northwest Arkansas, but that could result in 4 inches farther east that you push. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Why is it when someone...
The singer for heavy metal legends Iron Maiden is going on a solo tour this month, in the words of Christopher Walken, the Bruce Dickinson. Although it may not be the kind of tour you expect. Rick Demigella with the details.
Hello, I'm Bruce Dickinson. Blimey, that's me.
An evening with Bruce Dickinson finds the Iron Maiden singer back on stage, but without his band backing him up.
Let me explain. I've been doing these evening withs ever since I did my autobiography, What Does This Button Do? And it started out as a more interesting way of doing book readings. But then I quickly realized that what I'd sort of unwittingly created was a sort of a monster in its own right, that it was actually a one-man show. And it's kind of comedic, it's hopefully uplifting, it's quite rude.
Beyond stories of his music career, Dickinson gets personal with the tales he regales his audience with.
So we go to birth, and then we go to the little one-horse town that I was born in that nobody's ever heard of. And we talk about the cancer and a few other things. So it's not scripted, but it is. I just riff around a few slides. No writing. Part 2 of the show is basically improv. But it's improv scripted by the audience. If you could be in any other band, past or present.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
An Evening with Bruce Dickinson kicks off on the 17th, runs through the end of March. We'll be back with this morning's 4-State Hero right after this.
It's time to honor today's 4-State Hero. Larry Groth is a Master Sergeant in the United States Marines. Master Sergeant Groth served in Vietnam and earned the Bronze Order of the De Fleury Medal for Inspirational Leadership. A native of Neodeshe, we thank you, Master Sergeant Larry Groth, today's 4-State Hero. While you might be blaming that holiday gift that ever arrived on the supply chain, there may be another explanation. LAPD officers are finding that thousands of packages are being found near the train tracks in downtown Los Angeles. Christine Lazar has more on what looks to be a modern-day great train robbery.
It's like a scene out of a disaster movie. Thousands of boxes littering the Union Pacific train tracks in downtown LA. But unlike in Hollywood, these aren't props. They're packages belonging to people from all over the country, from retailers like Amazon and REI. Thieves have been raiding the cargo containers on the trains that stop here to unload for months, leaving behind shredded boxes and things they don't want, like these home COVID tests. Sources tell me the locks Union Pacific uses are easy to cut, and LAPD says it won't respond to reports of a train robbery unless Union Pacific asks them for help, which LAPD tells us is rare. When we were out, we saw someone running off with a container used to hold smaller packages. We also saw an officer with Union Pacific chase after 2 other people who appeared to be rifling through packages. And this is video of USC campus police arresting one of the suspected thieves last month. In his car, an officer tells us, this bag filled with lifted goods from the train tracks. A source tells me that these tracks right here were cleaned up just about 30 days ago. And already, as you can see, there are thousands of boxes littering these tracks. In other words, this is a very big problem. This is video of Union Pacific crews cleaning up back on December 11th. Around the same time, someone snapped this photo of boxes spilling out of the back of the train. We found this package and entered the UPS tracking information. It shows it's in transit and will arrive today.
Did you send something back to Amazon recently?
Yeah, I mean, I've sent several stuff back.
We also found an Amazon package with a woman in Washington's name and phone number on it. We called her and texted her a photo of her package.
So there was something you sent back, but you just had no idea that it never made it to its intended destination.
I don't know what would be in that box, but I buy so much from Amazon and send so much stuff back that I wouldn't even know what it was.
In a statement, Union Pacific Railroad said these rail crimes pose a serious safety threat to the public, our employees, and local law enforcement officers. We've increased the number of Union Pacific special agents on patrol, and we have utilized and explored additional technologies to help us combat this criminal activity. But local law enforcement who work around these tracks tell me they don't see thieves shipping off anytime soon.
Another half hour of news and weather just ahead, coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. The multi-award winning video game God of War finally wages war on your PC. And many families rely on space heaters during the winter months, but these same devices lead to thousands of fires every year. We've got some tips on how to keep your family safe when we come back. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:29. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Djokovic could be deported from Australia again. The Australian government canceled Novak Djokovic's visa for a second time, saying the world tennis #1 unvaccinated for COVID may pose a risk to the community. Immigration Minister Alex Hawke used discretionary powers to again cancel his visa after a court quashed an earlier revocation and released him from an immigration detention on Monday. The Joplin School District becomes the latest to cancel classes for today. The district sent out messages to parents yesterday letting them know classes are canceled for today so crews can deep clean the buildings. Officials say the classes will be made up on May 25th. Missouri Southern is temporarily changing its masking guidance. The university is requiring masks be worn in classrooms, meetings where social distancing is not possible, the Wilcoxon Health Center, and the Lion Club Academy. Everywhere else, the school says masking is optional. Officials say the changes are due to a rise in area COVID cases. No word on how long the new guidance will last. Police in Pittsburgh and the Crawford County Sheriff's Office worked together to arrest a Pittsburgh man who led officers on a chase. Authorities say officers spotted 27-year-old Sage Sprague in a car on East 21st Street and knew he had multiple outstanding warrants. When officers tried to pull the car over, the car sped away. The chase went through Pittsburgh, then left the city, which is when a sheriff's deputy joined in, then went back to Pittsburgh before Sprague's car hit the deputy's vehicle. The chase stopped a short time later and authorities arrested Sprague. People in Joplin had the chance to responsibly enjoy a beer and responsibly adopt a pet for free. The Chaos Brewing Company on South Main Street called the event Bark Brew. Chaos invited some pets from the Joplin Humane Society, covered the $10 adoption fee, and also offered a free beer.
An opportunity to interact with the animals in a way that they otherwise wouldn't. They can come here, they might feel more comfortable coming to a bar to meet someone. That's something people do apparently, versus having to make an appointment or take the time out of your day to go out to the Humane Society. So instead of having to make that trip, you can just come here on your way home and maybe meet someone who you're going to fall in love with.
The Joplin Humane Society always reminds people to think before they adopt and make sure they have resources for taking care of a pet long term. Scientists are hoping to go back in time, digging deep into the earth to find some of the oldest ice samples ever discovered. Fox News correspondent Ashley Strohmeyer has more on how the ancient ice could hold the secrets to combating climate change today.
Secrets to understanding more about today's climate change could lie far below the surface of Antarctica. That's why a team of researchers from Italy and France are on a mission to drill more than 8,000 feet into the ice sheet to get a sample dating back 1.5 million years.
These are extreme and harsh conditions to work with, and we are planning to use the drills, which are long tubes which help us to extract the ice cores.
Why go back that far? Experts say the Earth went through a warming and cooling process every 41,000 years, but data suggests something happened about 1 million years ago where these cycles started occurring every 100,000 years. The team hopes to find prehistoric dust in the ice samples to try and identify what caused the climate cycles to change that rapidly and use those lessons to learn more about our current climate. The Antarctic ice mission comes as scientists announced 2021 was Earth's 5th hottest year on record. Environmentalists say the intense heat is a result of climate change, adding the extremely warm weather is causing more destructive natural disasters across the country, like last year's Hurricane Ida and the West Coast's record-breaking fire season. Unlocking Earth's climate mysteries will take some time, however. The Antarctic team says they need to drill just under 600 feet per week, which means it will take them at least 4 years to reach the 1.5 million-year-old ice. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Do you have a favorite local business you'd like to see recognized on the air? We want your help to recognize the 4 states' finest. Head to KOAMnewsnow.com/finest and during this month, nominate your favorite 4-state business. Use your browser or just snap a pic of our QR code with your phone and you'll go right to our website. Once you're there, you'll find several categories to choose from. This is all chosen by you, so be sure to join in on this nomination process this month. It's a great way to show your love and appreciation for your favorite local business, and each week, one lucky viewer who nominates a business will receive $100. So don't wait. Tell us about the 4 States Finest now. And this comic book sold for $3.18 million, making it the 3rd most expensive comic of all time. The 1938 comic features the first appearance of Superman. Action Comics #1 was auctioned off Thursday. It was bought by collectibles marketplace Golden on behalf of a private buyer.
Take that.
That is a lot, but that is pretty cool.
I heard the story this morning. It reminds me of the great movie Chasing Amy, where you're just a tracer.
Michael,
well,
I'm sorry. I don't know
whoever that tracer is a whole lot richer right now. That is for sure.
Yes.
Bronte, temperatures ranging right now from mid-30s to low 40s, and even with our cloud cover going to work up into the mid-50s. But of course, we know we've got big changes developing tonight all the way into Saturday, as it will begin in rain in the north and then flip over to snow for the early morning hours and have some duration to it as well. So here we are. By the time we get to about 9 o'clock, we begin to see the snow formulate. Remember, that pink line right there, that's going to be that definitive flip over, so you may run into some freezing rain. It doesn't look like it's going to last too long. Then as we get closer to sunrise on Saturday, we see everything just drop straight down from the north, especially for the central and eastern portion of our highlighted counties. That's where we see the majority of the accumulation, 1 to 2, pushing into 2 to 3, if not 4 there on the far eastern edge of southwest Missouri, about 1 inch throughout southeast Kansas. It's going to be a little bit of a wet snow there, not like the fluffy kind we had that was able to build up a couple weeks ago. This will kind of compact itself, and then we need to be careful with the refreeze there coming Saturday night into Sunday morning if you're headed out to church or what be it early on Sunday, because yeah, those roads are going to refreeze with it that cold. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
On the next Young.
This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, talking about spending time on the internet as it's kicked off a bunch of memorable and some not so memorable trends. Here's the latest one. It's a word game called Wordle, and some people calling it the ideal pandemic pastime. It's simple enough to play. You've got 6 chances to guess a 5-letter word. Here's a catch. There's 1 puzzle per day. So if you like word games, brain teasers in general, just a new take on some of our older games. Our question to you this morning is, how do you spend most of your time when it comes to being on the internet? Pretty close between 1 and 2 right now, as 35% of you now say it's social media, 29% play games, 17% split between work and other, and evidently, we just all text right now. Email only garnering 2%. A trio of new games are playable this week. We're bringing back our man, Rick Damigella, who levels us up in our Game On segment.
The road ahead is long and unforgiving. No place for a boy. You must be a warrior.
The multiple award-winning God of War is now on PC. Previously exclusive to the PlayStation, the game finds former Greek god of war Kratos and his son on a quest based loosely around Norse mythology. Sharp-eared sci-fi fans will recognize Stargate actor Christopher Judge as Kratos.
Welcome, fearless leader. We have waited for this day for all of our mushroom lives.
Mushroom Wars 2 first sprouted on the PC in 2017 and later on the Nintendo Switch. The fighting fungi are now spawning on Xbox and PlayStation consoles. The real-time strategy and resource management game pits players in single and multiplayer battles. Planetary exploration and terraforming are at the core of Astroneer. The open-world sandbox game lets players colonize procedurally generated planets at their own pace without a fixed plotline. Previously available for Xbox and PlayStation, Astroneer is now portable on the Nintendo Switch. Leveling up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Be back with consumer news right after this.
In the cold winter months, many families plug in space heaters to get warm, but the devices lead to thousands of fires every year. Michael George has some tips to keep your family safe.
An apartment building fire in New York this week took the lives of 17 people, and investigators say the flames were started by a space heater. New York firefighters did a demonstration to show just how dangerous the appliance can be. A blanket placed on top of a heater ignited in less than 30 seconds. In less than 2 minutes, the entire room is filled with smoke and flames.
When that space heater is on, that is at least 3 to 5 feet away from anything that would burn.
Safety officials say it's also important to plug the heaters directly into the wall, not into an extension cord or power strip.
All too often, if the space heater itself doesn't go on fire, the power strip or wiring will cause a fire.
When buying a heater, experts advise getting one that will automatically shut off if it tips over, and make sure it's certified by a lab. This UL code signifies a product has been tested and certified.
Make sure that there's some basic safety protections on them, like a grid on the outside of it to protect child or pet from getting too close.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission says it's also important to check cpsc.gov for any recalls. Over the years, several heaters have been recalled for overheating. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Microsoft is said to be reviewing their sexual harassment policies. The company saying Thursday it will review their software makers' policies and issue a report for its shareholders in the spring. A proposal for the report was approved in November. This comes following years of concerns by Microsoft employees about the company's investigative practices. In 2012, a lawsuit was filed by 238 employees who accused Microsoft of harassment. Another suit in 2020, which was dropped, saw another former employee accuse the company of sex discrimination against women. New federal data shows consumer prices soared over the last year. Gas prices are up nearly 50%. Used car prices jumped 37%, and prices for all types of groceries also went up. Shoppers are also finding empty shelves at some stores, reminiscent of the early days of the pandemic. Scott McFarlane has the story.
Up and down the aisles of this Whole Foods outside San Francisco.
A lot of produce was just out, like the green onions gone, like the apples I was looking for weren't there.
To this ShopRite in New Jersey.
Some of the water was missing last time, some of the cereals were missing.
Shoppers across the country are being met with empty shelves.
This is actually the third store I've been to tonight trying to find some pasta.
And sticker shock.
Prices are off the charts for a middle-class family to eat.
Last month, it was $5, half a gallon orange juice. This month, $10 for a half a gallon, but only one type.
A new report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics found the price of ground beef jumped 13% over the last year. Fresh fruits nearly 8%, eggs 11%. In addition to the sticker shock, shoppers across the country are complaining of supply chain shortages, sharing images on social media of empty shelves at grocery stores. Experts say the shortage is a perfect storm. Severe winter weather mixed with supply chain issues and a rise in COVID cases keeping workers out sick amid ongoing staffing shortages. The nation's truckers tell CBS News they're operating with 80,000 fewer drivers than needed. This problem with some empty shelves in some stores, is that going away anytime soon?
Well, it's gonna be several weeks before we see relief.
Doug Baker is with the Food Industry Association that works with grocery stores. According to his group, consumer demand for groceries jumped 50% at the start of the pandemic and has not slowed as many people continue to cook and eat most meals at home. Their recent survey found about half of shoppers say they've noticed some products not available at their grocery stores.
It's sort of like playing whack-a-mole. If you don't see it today, you'll probably see it tomorrow.
So we don't really know what the next local item shortage is going to be?
Yeah, we unfortunately we don't typically know until it's upon us.
Whether your grocery store has some empty shelves also depends on severe weather in your area and the level of COVID cases. As the Omicron variant hopefully peaks and recedes in the coming weeks, staffing shortages should improve and the shelves should become better stocked. Scott McFarlane, CBS News, Bethesda, Maryland.
We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
It's time.
Several separate sets of cremated remains were found inside an abandoned church in Ohio over the weekend. They were in a building operated by a man in Akron who is currently charged with more than 3 dozen counts of providing funeral services without a license. Clay Leopard has the story.
White cardboard boxes and plastic bags. That's how investigators described in court paperwork how 89 different sets of cremated remains were stored inside Greater Faith Missionary Baptist Church in Akron. Investigators say they were tipped off about the remains after an urban explorer went inside the dilapidated church.
There's significant health issues, significant dignity issues. This is not just a regulatory issue. Some of the things we're seeing there are just not right.
News 5 has previously reported on the owner of the church, Shante Hardin, who is currently charged with more than 36 counts tied to allegedly providing funeral services without a license.
Several neighbors we spoke to off camera said that they had been suspicious for quite some time about what exactly had been going on inside this church. Now, they say they just hope the space gets put to good use.
News 5 spoke with Hardin's attorney, who said the cremated remains actually belonged to former Toledo funeral director Robert Tate, who had his license pulled in 2016. The lawyer went on to say that Shante Hardin agreed to store the remains while Tate tried to reach the families. Tate died in 2017. It's not clear at this time what will happen to the remains of loved ones found and if they will finally be reunited with their families as this investigation continues.
Now, court records show that Hardin is not a licensed funeral director or embalmer in the state of Ohio. In June of 2020, in fact, he was indicted by a grand jury on a charge of abuse of a corpse. Transition to outside television studio where the heavy cloud cover giving us just a sliver of sunshine every now and then. Nice thing about the clouds is it hasn't been too bad temperature-wise, but things are going to change with the development of that winter system. Here we are over 7th and Rangeline where we sit at 42 degrees. No wind to worry about. That's kind of nice relief. Anywhere from, say about 35 up to 42. Joplin, our high point right now. Neosho already at 41, Miami at 34. Let's roll 37 right now in both Chanute and Iola. While we've got the cloud cover, no precipitation to worry about until we get into tonight. What we do have are watches and warnings for us. Winter weather advisories indicated in purple, the white. Not only a winter weather advisory, but also a wind advisory. And look at this. They stretch in some form or fashion, whether it be wind or a winter storm, from the Canadian border all the way down to the coast. And this U shape that you're seeing right here is the track that our winter storm will take. As it progresses down to the south, like I said, we've got until tonight, so don't have to worry about anything for the afternoon hours. As a matter of fact, still temperatures way above normal, able to make it up into the mid-50s. Then as we get closer to sunset, we'll begin with the rain up to the north. It'll quickly flip over to snow. We really don't see a whole lot of freezing rain involved in that. And as we get into Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, we see really it dominate the central and eastern portion of the 4 states. Sunrise for Saturday. Nope. Keeps on coming. As a matter of fact, there'll be portions down to the south and the east where this will last until the afternoon hours. And that's why when we talk about our accumulation, we'll really see it begin to pile up here throughout southwest Missouri and down by the Arkansas state line. 7-day forecast is going to be extremely cold Saturday night into Sunday. So please know that those roads are going to refreeze just in time for anything you have planned Sunday morning. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
At iMart Express.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The Supreme Court's conservative majority ruled that the Biden administration overstepped its authority by requiring employees at large businesses to get vaccinated or test regularly and wear a mask at work. The justices did allow the administration to go ahead with a COVID vaccine mandate for millions of healthcare workers at facilities that receive federal money. The Justice Department has filed the more serious charge yet against members of the Oath Keepers, seditious conspiracy in the aftermath of the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Prosecutors allege the group, including its leader, Stuart Rhodes, conspired to overthrow the U.S. government with force. Queen Elizabeth has stripped her son Prince Andrew of all of his military titles and royal duties in the wake of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. The move comes after a U.S. federal judge allowed a civil sexual abuse case against Prince Andrew to proceed. Now let's check it back in with Michael for your final look at weather.
Roll future track one more time. Mid-50s this afternoon. Begin with rain late tonight. Transition into snow for Saturday morning. And it's going to last all Saturday morning into the afternoon as well. Kind of quit out in the west first before the central and eastern portions of the 4 states are done with the snow, and then lock in for a cold Saturday night / Sunday morning.
All right. And in an iconic Spider-Man comic page from the 80s sells for more than $3 million. The artwork from 1984 Spider-Man comic that explained the origins of the character sold to a record price of $3.36 million on Thursday, bidding for page 25 of The Secret Wars number 8, drawn by Mike Zeck, started at about $330,000. Heritage Auction says bidding quickly rose to more than $3 million as time passed. The organization also sold another copy of Superman's debut, with a price tag also surpassing $3 million.
No more making fun of tracers.
I still don't, I don't know what you're saying, but okay. I'm glad you're finding joy in this.
Thank you for letting us put the good in your morning. We will be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
At Harry Cooper